Half a day, everyone, and welcome to the PDN's continuing election night coverage. I'm Nestor Licanto, joined by Régine Biscoe Lee, a member of the board of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, and also a former senator. So we've got perfect time to bring her in to talk a little bit about GWCC stuff and also her time at the legislature and maybe some of her predictions about the results that we're going to see, hopefully, not too much longer this night. Regina, let me ask you first about the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. You guys put together kind of a release. Can you talk a little bit about that and the bills?
So initially in the primary, we had a candidate forum where we had members of the legislature participate and then also the congressional candidates that were on the Democratic side race in the primary. And then we did the same thing in the general where we teamed up with Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association to provide a legislative forum, a candidate mixer, and then also a congressional forum. And so we were able at the second one during for this general election to kind of roll out our legislative impact report. And this is something we've never done before, Ness, so it was interesting to kind of create a process and then run it through our membership. But what we did was we took a look at the top bills that were introduced from January 2023 to June 2024, like right before election season kind of officially kicked off, right? So the first 18 months of the 37th. And we looked at what bills do we think our government committee thinks has the most impact on women in business. And we took the top 6 bills and we brought it forward to our membership and we brought it forward to all of the people who attended our Fanatsu Famalawan Women's Summit in September. And we asked them to evaluate these bills to tell us a little bit about themselves in terms of how they identify if they are a business owner, if they are a government employee, a private employee, and if they're registered to vote. And then we asked them to take a look at these 6 bills and give us some feedback. Which bills resonate the most with you? And if there are bills that aren't on this list, can you tell us what you want the legislature to be focusing on? And the response was overwhelming. We got over 150 responses, but also very interesting, kind of like how everything kind of fell. And we really got a sense from our members where their priorities were, right?
Yeah. What are some of the issues that were top of mind for them?
So I think, in addition to the run-of-the-mill education, public safety, and health, we had 6 bills in particular. So starting at number 6, we had Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munya Barnes's bill to kind of revitalize Guam Customs and Quarantine. And so that was bill number 176. So it's about innovation and it's about efficiency, building that in the government of Guam. So I think that was important to our members. And certain businesses are really impacted by that. And so we recognize the vice speaker for that.
This is about customs duties, right?
Yes. Yeah. So creating an automated system for Guam Customs and Quarantine. And then the next bill on the list was Senator Jesse Lujan's bill to expand BPT exemptions list to include prescription drugs. And so we have some pharmacists on our GWCC government committee, and they were just talking about, and also just everyday lives were really impacted, the cost of living and the cost of groceries and medications.
Bring down the price of medication, yeah.
Really important for a huge subset of our membership. And so Senator Jesse Lujan was recognized for that bill. And then we had Senator Tom Fisher, who introduced a bill to fund the doula project. And so that was $400,000 of appropriation to fund through the Bureau of Women's Affairs the doula project. So access to health care for women, I think, was really important and high up on the list. And then coming in third was Frank Blas Jr. had a bill to provide $1 million in funding for GUMA, which is Guam Unique Merchandise and Arts. And you can learn more about GUMA, the great work that they do at gumaguam.com, but really just trying to push the incubator program, push resources out to small business,
local artisans,
local small business owners, and trying to get them to that next level where they feel like they could push their products out into a retail space or even beyond, right, into trade. So they've had great success with that. and really want to encourage that program. So that's Frank Blas Jr.'s bill. And then the top two bills were actually introduced by the same person, Senator Will Parkinson, and that was updating the Women's Reproductive Health Act of 2012, and that's really expanding access to reproductive health for women. And then the number one bill, which was actually passed by this legislature and voted on unanimously by all senators, and we thank them for their support of this, was expanding FMLA to include miscarriage and stillbirth.
Yeah.
So,
FMLA being the Family Medical Leave Act, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And so you really got a sense, right, from the membership what is important to them, what the priorities are. And then in additional feedback we received, we really want the legislature to work on procurement and making it easier for local small businesses to participate in government contracts and things like that. We had, obviously issues regarding public safety and just generally the cost of doing business on Guam.
And I think that's very helpful for the incoming legislature, that
Right.
they can get an idea of at least what the Guam Women's Chamber is interested in, and maybe they can work on that legislation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage that. So we're looking forward to after inauguration, in January, they can expect a call or an email from us, and we're going to be trying to tackle these things that are high on our priority list that are important to our membership. And so it's, I love data. So the idea of, being able to say, okay, 83% of the people who responded to our poll are registered voters. So please take this into account. This is important to us, and we vote for you. We're electing you, and this is the priorities moving forward.
Yeah, definitely constituents.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
are registered voters. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take off your Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce hat
Okay, I'm
and
taking
put
it
on your
off.
former legislature hat.
Okay.
Okay,
got it.
talk a little bit about what you think the majority is going to look like in the 38th Guam legislature.
I was reading the paper, and I was really interested to see an article, I think it was by Jojo Santo Tomas, and he did like a man, woman on the street kind of thing, and what are the issues that are important to you. They talked about GDOE and the school maintenance debacle crisis. They talked about, I think, public safety also, but also there were several people who focused on collaboration and the need for that. And I think a lot of people were really turned off by the 37th and really felt like these guys don't have their act together. They're not communicating. They are bullying each other on the floor of the legislature. It was not a good look, I'll say.
It was, and I don't know if you agree with this, but it was more of a coalition type of majority. There was, Democrats getting together with Republicans, and another set of Democrats getting together, Republicans, and the Republicans falling where they into the coalition,
Right.
depending on the issue.
Depending on the issue,
Yeah.
yeah. And to a certain extent, you should always strive for that kind of collaboration. Everything, in my tenure as a senator, I really tried very hard to have every single bill that I introduced bipartisan. I always wanted to try to bring everybody along, because at the end of everything, you have to have those 8 votes to move anything. And if there's a potential veto, you need 10. So you need to have that really strong coalition, and then also be listening to the constituency and making sure that this is what the people of Guam want, right? I think the majority will be fragile at best.
What party?
It's really tough to say. It's really tough to say at this point, and I think that's telling.
Yeah.
Even the fact that we couldn't even get 15
I was
candidates on
gonna
either
answer.
side.
You got 14-11.
Yeah.
You could even fill the full slate.
I gotta say, I really enjoyed my time in the legislature. I served for 2 terms. I think I learned a lot about how government works and just, business in general. But it really feels like, I just feel like the people of Guam, the voters of Guam, are really looking for a little bit more
Okay.
from their legislative leadership.
Let me get you out of here with this question. So the 2026 gubernatorial election starts on November 6th, right after Tuesday, right after tonight. How much of that is going to, because there will be a new governor. Governor Leon Guerrero cannot run again. Her term limit is this term. How much of that race is going to dominate the legislature, you think?
I think it's not just the gubernatorial, it's the legislative too. And so you're always running.
Yeah.
It's, the very next day, just like what you said. I think that the numbers will be really interesting. Certain people who are looking at, being at the top of the ticket will be looking at who might be good partners, who has waged a good campaign in this last election. I think that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see how then all the numbers shake out. And I think it's interesting for everybody to look at these polls and to kind of, figure things out, especially these social media polls. Everybody's interested in it. But the only poll that matters, Nestor, you and I both know, is at
It's
the
election
end.
night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what
It's tonight.
Maria Pangolin and the GEC certify as the results of this election. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming out to vote today, and just want to also tip my hat to the candidates. I know it's a tough thing to do, to put your name on that ballot.
You've been
and
there,
then,
yeah.
Been there several times. And so I really appreciate it, and I hope that we're going to be able to see some great things out of the 38th.
We hope so too. All
Yeah.
right. Régine Biscoe Lee, a member of the board of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, and of course a former legislator herself. I'm Nestor Licanto. Keep watching us. We're going to continue all night long as we continue with our election 2024 coverage.
Yeah.